right, what's going on, everybody? So excited to be here. I'm actually really excited to have a cup of coffee, my second cup of coffee in hand, and be able to share this time with all of you. So this is a bit of like relax and enjoy ourselves. Looking forward to another really, really solid session together. This is a training session. You all are aware by now. Tom has been absolutely just phenomenal. Tom is going through, I think at 1.75 speed. Is that right, Tom? Going through all the past training sessions. He's making enormous progress. I'm going to be working hard to go ahead and put all his work together very soon. That's all coming together nicely. So is this. Let me go ahead and pull this up for you. Just yesterday, we were working on putting this together, and I think this is going to be a big benefit to all of us. This is Discord over here. You can see right now it's just a couple of people in here just to go ahead. The moderators, we have Greg, Alan, Brandon, Heath, just in here trying to go ahead and set up these rooms. You can see the categories over here where it says CTM at the beginning. That would be like our general chat. And then we could have a thread just for beginners. Let me go ahead and actually pull this up. All right, we have a thread for beginners. We'll have one just discussing Forex and currencies and posting charts and setups here. This is going to be a big improvement over what we have going on Telegram. There's also Chatter out there that Telegram, right, Russian owned, might be removed from the Google Play and Mac store. Whether or not that's going to happen or not, I'd rather have, first of all, backups in place, as well as this advantage of us being able to separate conversations. We all know all the work Heath does on the shorter time frames. Now he has a place for that, right? For people to focus on day trading. It's hard to read when you join Telegram and there's 300 messages to find what exactly you're looking for. If someone's looking for Heath's style of shorter term trades, they could come into this room. If you're looking for Forex setups, you could come over here. A place to discuss Bitcoin and Ethereum, which I believe warrants its own thread, right? And then we have crypto and all altcoins, setups and trades, commodities and metals. Greg this morning went ahead and added this resources. For example, the document that he created, the PDF on the true trend, and others could be set into there. And I think it's going to be fantastic. I will send out the link, the invite, right now. No, I'm going to send it out afterwards to everyone. I'll pin it to the Telegram group. We could start building up this community, and then we can make the jump over. I would like to, by the way, because there's a way to do it, have all of the messages sent on Telegram synced to here. But the problem with that, and why this morning I was second thinking it, is because it could be done. I saw on the internet people have done it. The problem all would go into one thread, CTM thread, and then we'd be back to having everything on one thread instead of organized into different areas. So we'll take it as it comes. Something that I think is going to be a big improvement. We'll keep working on that. The other thing that I want to do right now is get into this session with all of you. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to take this into any open questions, anything that we want to focus on. And that's how we're going to do this together. If you have any questions, we're just going to take them as they come. Let me know what you want to focus in on, and we're just going to have some fun together. Yeah, I hope so, guys. I'll get that invitation out to you right now. I would send it out to you right this second, but then I'm afraid that I'll lose everyone's attention. So as soon as we finish up over here, I'll make sure to get that into the Telegram group at the very least, and then we'll get going on that. So the trade that has no name really has no name because it's not a trade that is actionable that we use. It's just, Dave, something that I've been tracking all year, right? We covered it in, Dave, actually, I'm going to leave it at this. We covered it extensively in one of our training sessions. So shortly, and when I say shortly, I don't know what that's going to look like. I think maximum 2 to 3 weeks, we should have all of those clips up and organized, and then you could go through it and you could dig into the trade that has no name. But right now, I don't want you even taking those setups at all. Focus on conquering the market setups, but nevertheless, for your own knowledge base, right? For your own knowledge base, I will explain what that is so that you know what that is, right? Do we have one-on-one sessions? No, we don't have one-on-one sessions. I believe I do my best to over-deliver every single time that we're together. Now, whether that's in a public session live in the morning, right? Or, and again, all year, or all 14 months, there was only one session that I missed this Monday, right? So I make sure that I'm always there no matter what. Afternoon updates, Monday through Friday, the same. Our training sessions, and then everywhere else. But I don't do one-on-one training sessions. And let's be really honest with each other. The course, right, itself, the cost of it is really next to nothing. And if you start considering the value that's offered, I don't really think you could put a price on it. If we were talking about one-on-one training, I think it would be out of reach for most people, right? We're gonna get you right into there, Gene. Right into that right away. I wanted to send that. I do my best to get everything as organized as possible, but Gene, we will have you in there right away. All right. Yeah, me too, Dave. I'm so grateful for Tom. Tom said that a lot of people were asking for that. I had no idea in the comments. That's something that was dear to my heart. That for months and months and months, I've been saying, I wish I could do that. I simply do not have the time to do that. It was impossible. The fact that this is like the greatest, that was my Christmas gift this year, and I'm grateful for it. It's beautiful. Yeah. So, but Vassal, we're here to do whatever you need. And right now, if you have anything that you would like to cover and discuss, I'm here for you 100%. Let's do that. Right? The schedule for the training sessions are once a week, and that's about the training. That's about the schedule. They've been on Thursday, right? Before that, they were just on Tuesday, but they generally have been at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's the consistent. We've had a couple of other training sessions that were later in the evening, about 7, 8 o'clock Eastern time, which was 11 o'clock a.m. Australian time. And those were also epic and fun sessions. But you know what? Generally, they're at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, either Tuesday or Thursday. Usually, either Monday or Tuesday, I send out a notification of when those training sessions are. Yep, and I could do better. Well, I'm going to do better, right? Always want to be looking to improve that. And, Gene, on my mind. Tom's upgrade is going to be definitely something that's going to help a lot of people. And then I want to continue improving and building out on the modules as well, right? So what else we got going? What questions do you want to go over today? I don't think I missed anything, but I would like to get started. What kind of questions we got? What do we want to talk about today? If we just want to hang out and you go over anything, discuss anything, that's what we got, right? Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Do you close a position before it has reached your TP if you notice the price reversing? Excellent question. This is something we've never covered before. This question, Tom, pay attention. No, this is something. Yep, I'll go back to that 1 second, babe. Well, any question that from this point on is put into the chat, we'll go back to it. But I want to start off with this question. It's a great question by Basil, and he's asking, do I ever close a position before it's reached my take profit if I notice the price is reversing? The straight answer is no. The reason for it is the most important. If you find that all of a sudden you're going to be micromanaging positions, meaning closing them before it has reached your TP, your take profit, you're going to find that you're taking profit and closing trades almost all the time. What you'll find out happening is also, let me just pull up a random pair, like random. Oh, actually, I'm going to pull up the Euro New Zealand dollar since that was the question we were just looking at. Here's what's going to happen is you're going to you're going to get off the 8-hour time frame. You're going to see yourself going down to the 4-hour or the 1 hour, and you're going to be like, oh no, price is reversing. I'm going to get out. And what's going to happen is like all of this, what I refer to as normal price fluctuation. That's why I never trade the 4-hour, by the way. Do you see over here how you go flip-flop back and forth? Lower, low, higher, high, lower, low, higher, high, lower, low. That's just chop that will destroy you. And if you're looking to exit positions before your take profit, you're never going to be in the position of pushing positions. The only thing that I'll do, and that's only until I get into that first support or resistance level, is move my stop loss to break even. I am entirely comfortable with taking as many break-even trades as possible, right? Even if the trade then reverses, there's always further opportunity to get in. The NASDAQ, by the way, and what we looked at in these past sessions is the perfect example. The perfect example because, as I said in yesterday's afternoon update, listen, As you come into that resistance, it's not far enough. Do not move your stop loss to break even. I would wait till we're trading a little bit higher. If you would have done that and then you saw price reversing, putting in that red candle and then making a lower low, you probably would have exited your trade thinking that you're going to exit it before you're I don't want to say take profit in this case, but before my next actionable point of moving it to break even, and you would have exited the trade. And the whole reason I said don't move your stop loss to break even is you got to give it a little bit of room. So Vasil, do not get in the habit of doing that because that will prevent you from being able to ever push trades. One thing that I've noticed, there's one name that comes to my mind, but those that are struggling around break even or better and continue to do so, they have no trades that have been pushed whatsoever. Most of their trades are on a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, meaning they're taking profits way too soon. At the same point, they're taking their stop losses, or they have a small amount of trades that have been pushed one extra level. But you can't be profitable doing that. .BTC, let's take a look at it. So DOT has been on fire lately, right? Let's take a look at what's going on over here. Oh, I had that chart up over there. So most importantly, what I liked was this trend line over here, the breakout, and then the retest down over here of that line. And then we put up this line when we trade above it. This is what crypto does at this point in the game. You have these enormous breakouts. What do you do right now? If now you're saying, all right, I would like to start maybe getting into this. We're going to start here on the bigger time frame. I don't like this chart at all. That's because I don't play with it. What should we be looking at? Right there. Hold on 1 second. Please give me 1 second here. All right, we'll focus on that trend line over there. That's a little bit neater off the closes, not the wicks over there. Right? That's what the market is focused on more. Do you see over here? The angle connects to that high and then over here to where we come in. So that's fine. That's a little bit cleaner for me to look at. Let's look on the daily time frame really quick. And this is what I'm seeing right now is that we have came into this resistance right over here. Look how big that level is. Over here when it was support, and then over here it was resistance again. That's a big level. Obviously today, if you're interested in Bitcoin, because you want to increase your Bitcoin holdings, right? That's the only reason you'd be trading an alt to begin with, most likely. So you're saying, wow, I really see, it looks like a trend is developing here on Bitcoin. I want to take a long. Obviously, you can never take a long into resistance right here, right now. We don't know whether or not we're going to pull back again. And if you've seen that happening on Ethereum, Bitcoin, we got stuck in this area, right? Could that be happening on Bitcoin right now? Do we retrace all these instruments are volatile? We could come back and test this resistance easily down over here, right? Well, I'm sorry, resistance turn support over here. And that would be healthy. Or we break above here. If you break above here, the next thing that we're targeting over here is right where my mouse is right now. You could read the number on the right, 0.0003547.8. That's the next bit of resistance, or a little bit higher than that. Let me draw that in. Let me take this in over here. Let me draw that in over there. Where should that go? Right here. All right. So that's the next resistance above here. If you get above here, though, this is where you want to start attacking. If you clear above this resistance here, then look for a place to start establishing a position. That's Bitcoin. Why was the Euro New Zealand dollar unattractive this morning? And that's simply because the trade was, again, trading at its lows, right? When I'm looking at the Euro New Zealand dollar this morning, it's trading down here. I'm never going to take a trade into support, right? I'm trying to be preemptive of price. The simplest way to do that is pull up the true trend. Pull up the true trend, and then just as the simplest way to do that, when the entry CCI, the blue one, is stretched away from the trend, that's when I'm looking for that lower low and to attack. As the entry CCI is in the direction of the trend, as price is extended downwards, never, ever, ever enter a trade. Okay, here's a beautiful example over here into the resistance. You can see the entry CCI pulled back versus the trend into the resistance. As it resumes down, that's where you pick it up. So that's the only reason why it's unattractive. It's very attractive. It's in a strong downtrend. It's respecting resistance. We could actually add a line of resistance right now. Let's go ahead and do that. But let me just pull this one down over here, right? And why you could see that. Look, over here was clear support. Again, support, and now clear resistance. A move back into there. that would be the next time to attack, or we continue making a leg down and then come back up and test this area. You're selling resistance right now in that strong downtrend. Yeah, so you've noticed, by the way, just a couple of things. This is not black and white, but let me explain to you. Look, you could see right now in all of the when we go over FX, I keep saying, all right, that's a cross pair, and I'm really not interested right now, right? So, by the way, I guess this is not. This is like Jordan's thought. This is probably not like FX oriented whatsoever. This is Jordan's world. Okay. So when I'm talking about crosses, even the euro anything, I would not consider a cross, right? I would consider that euro like a main pair, US dollar, Japanese yen, right? So crosses to me is more like Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, like the commodity pairs versus each other. Those are like cross pairs. All right. I know that doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense in my world. And my world is really different from what I've seen elsewhere inside the industry. So, that being said, without trying to confuse you, I do notice that in June and July, the only trades that were taken, mostly by myself and everyone else, was really on the US dollar and Japanese yen. And then we came to a point, first week of August, where we backed off from those. And then it was just cross pairs for 2 months. There was no rhyme or reason why you would know ahead of time that was happening, other than you're doing your analysis every day and you're finding out what the flavor is, what's in favor, and then going after that. Right now, what's in favor? What's the flavor? Right? It's U.S. dollar has been off the table for quite a while for myself. What's been really attractive has been against the Japanese yen pairs. It's been the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. And also now I see, or I've been making the observations for the last 10 days or so, that the pound has been pretty strong and continues to reprice itself. So though by making observations like that, Japanese yen, we all know, very, very weak. Commodity currencies, very, very strong. What are we seeing happen in commodities? We're seeing a huge breakout. Does that make sense why commodity currencies would be bid? Of course. All right. So no hard and fast. It's more of doing your analysis every day and staying in the flow that lets you know where you want to focus. You're looking at silver when it hit to 29. Let's take a look at it really quick. So let me come down to the daily time frame. Are you asked? I'm not sure, Vasil, of the question. You're saying that is there any time that you should take profit, right? If you see price coming off, I remember when this was unfolding in real time, right? And that we kept focusing on that level 26 over there. A lot of people exited that trade when we broke that 26 because it was very clear to us that what had developed was this triangle pattern. And of course, at this point, we're looking for that to break to the upside because that's a continuation pattern. We're looking for it to break to the upside. But once it lost that support level, that's when a lot of people exited. A lot of people exited. Is Bitcoin recovering from the 30% a little faster than we would like? Well, so Cameron, great observation. Bitcoin is recovering from its drawdowns, whether they're 20%, this past 30%, 28%, or the other, 16.5%, much quicker than in the previous cycle, than in the last cycle. Now, is that bad or good? The only thing I can say is that comes more back towards where we were looking at over here. Let me come on the 15-day time frame for you, right? And let me go like this. So the only thing I can say is that just means that we're looking a little bit more like this, where we could get probably this double wave, right? Straight up, back off, straight up, rather than this when we were seeing the pullbacks last a little longer. You could see the angle. You could see this. The angle over here is like that, where the angle here is vertical, right? Over here, it's kind of in between the two so far, right? This could go here. It could go either which way. It could kind of go more like the last cycle, or it could continue straight up from here, right? So we don't know what it's doing yet. That's why we're watching and observing. But I can't say that it's not healthy. I could say that it's very healthy, that there's such a demand that pullbacks are just being bought up that means that Bitcoin is becoming way more scarce. People are holding on to it, and there's this greater demand that we know is coming from this institutional money. So I wouldn't describe it as bad or good so much as what it is. And what we're looking to see whether or not it resembles this, or it kind of so far looks like a combination of the two. And I'll show you what that looks like really quick. Just hold on one second because it'll illustrate it perfectly. When we say that it's a combination of the two, we got this right here, right here. And you could see that this is the first cycle with the double wave. This is the second cycle, which had more of a sustainable angle. The 30% pullbacks took longer to pull back. And this one does resemble kind of a combination of the two. We're in the middle. We're in the middle of the two. So maybe, maybe we just continue to see what we're seeing so far is that 30% or any type of drawdowns being brought up. By the way, most people are not aware of it. When we live in our own bubble, and everyone seems to have a pretty good understanding of feel of what's going on over here. When we came back off that 30% drawdown, most people in the world following Bitcoin were like, what's going on? All of us were like, we know exactly what's going on, right? Most people are not as keenly aware of this cycle as we are, and I think that kind of not I think that kind of clouds our judgments, our perception of what's going on out there. I know someone, not a close friend, but a friend of the family, and they were in the Ethereum trade, and last week they exited their full position and was like, all right, I'm just gonna wait and then when it's time buy Bitcoin. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about? It's a 30% pullback. Now's the time to buy Bitcoin, right? Most people are not really aware of what's going on as we are. So I think it's healthy. I took a paper entry on the pound US dollar during London today. Let's take a look at that. That's a great thing to go over together. Let me come down to the 8-hour. So you said you took it during the London session, right? Right over here, right? I mean, I'm using the IDC, the ICE Exchange data feed. If you're using a different broker, you might have a different opening. That doesn't matter. Trade what's on your chart. I don't know of one that offers a better advantage than another. Otherwise, I'd recommend everyone use a specific feed. In my opinion, and when I started trading, by the way, I used to trade with brokers. I was trading the E-mini futures with Interactive Brokers, right? They didn't even have a charting platform. I would have to use a third-party charting platform. And then when I started using Oanda, their charts weren't as great as they are today. I was using a different JavaScript charting platform and placing my orders on Oanda. It just always trade what's on your charts. That's what you do. But in this case, with what I have on my charts, and you can see that entry would occurred right over here. This was what? This is a trend line over here. We're in a strong uptrend. I also have that little bit of local support, local resistance, turn support. If you're taking this trade right over here, as you pull back into that area of support and then resume off of it, yes, it's conquering the markets all day long. Now, the question is, do you take a trade coming into that resistance? That's a light level of resistance. I would pay that no mind. Absolutely. That's a trade that I would say is a good one. I mean, an excellent job. And if you do what you just did and continue to do that, you're going to be perfect. Yes. All the time. I have no look, my whole mindset, and this is the only mindset that matters. My only mindset, and this is the only mindset that matters. Listen, the only way that it ever happened to me was because of my failures. If I never took a trade and had a stop loss that I then moved or didn't have a stop loss in, and that trade continues to be pushed in the wrong direction and become an absolute nightmare, I never would have had the understanding of what it means to push your winners, right? So, but thankfully, you could learn from your failures. Different cultures, different things. In some parts of the world, failures are considered to be negative, very bad things. That's one thing that's not considered in the States. A lot of people that have moved out to Silicon Valley, the San Francisco Bay Area, they have learned quickly that failures are embraced. It's the only way to learn and continue to move on to your success. Mark Cuban Mark Cuban has a famous quote, and he says that you only need to be right once. What does that mean? You could fail many, many times, and then as long as that you're correct once, and correct once doesn't mean on one given trade, but it means learning how to manage your trades, learning how to conquer the markets, learning how to manage your position sizes, your risk per trade, how to manage your trades, putting it all together. Right? You could have been wrong trying, following no strategy, no plan, which the majority of people out there do. Like buying the euro US dollar is not a trading plan, right? So anyway, I don't even know where we got off onto there. Oh, break even. So listen, the single most important thing is you need to really rearrange your psychological wiring to understand that you need to push your winners. You will have many trades with small profit, right? Many trades at break even and many small losses. You have to be comfortable with all of that. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen into the resistance right now, right? Let's take it out or breaking above it. Let's see what Greg is saying. All right. Was the trade I took after discussing with Gene today. It is pure CTM breakout, retest, resumption. Now, is my trend line perfect, Greg? Right? Is yours better? So what I'm noticing here, eyeballing, I have to go back and look, right? I'm seeing that trend line. If that was the breakout, the retest, resumption off, let me come back and look, right? Let me come to the daily time frame. Let me see what I'm doing over here. I'm gonna have to go to the 3-day. All right, I see that I use the spike off here off the top. I like that so far. Oh, let me keep going. Yeah. So that's a hard one. If I was doing this trend line again, I would do it exactly as I have it. I'm wondering if your trend line is more accurate. Did you use the top of this peak? Right? This would give me a whole. All right. Just hold on. Let's see what that does right there. You see I used the top of the peak this time, the top of this peak, and the top of that peak. Let's see what that looks like on the 8-hour time frame. And that was where I made a mistake here. And you nailed it, Greg. So you could see everyone, and then we could see the touch right over there, right? You could see again the resistance, and then you could see clearly the move into that, well, my resistance, but that's not a resistance. The retest, and now the resumption off. Beautiful, beautiful trade. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Greg, because I want to know what's going on. Clearly, my sketch over there was way off, and this is completely accurate. So again, thank you. I'm always up for learning and being on the right side. So let me go keep this in here so I could show everyone tomorrow during the live stream what just happened, what I had wrong, what you had right, and that we could all be on the right side together. Is there an entry on soybean? ZS, hold on. All right. So, first of all, we're going to put in a trend line right over here. Break of that trend line, that's going to be like time to back off. Any move into that trend line, that should be support. The next thing I want to do is see what's going on over here. I'm going to go to a daily time frame to get a better perspective. I don't see anything. I'm going to 3-day. Wow. Where could I find what's going on over here? So let me focus on over here and nothing else. I'm going to focus in on this area. And then we're going to look for a level we could put in over here, whether it's support or resistance. We'll find out in a second, right? So it's a little jumpy. It's not too clear for me where the level goes. Let me zoom in a little further. Let me come off to the weekly. All right, same area. All right, what do we got here? Where can we see support and resistance? All right, so that's a line right there. Whether that's currently support or resistance, I have no idea. Figure out in a minute. What else do we got going on? I don't really, not too clear. All right, so we got 2 lines in there. Is there anything else below that belongs in the market? I think I'm going to leave it at that. Let me come to real time right now on the 8-hour. See what's going on. See where we're at. There we go. Support over there. I obviously missed it. Don't even know what's going on. Where you are right now, is this a conquering the market entry? No, not really. Why? Because you're extended off the support, right? you have this trend line coming into this trend line. You can lean off there for conquering the market's entry. But right now you're kind of like hovering above. You should be already in the trade off the support somewhere down over here. I wouldn't be taking a trade over here, extending upwards like that right now. How much spread do you give for the stop loss? Are you asking how far away should the stop loss be from entry? That's only matters, So again, and this is where Tom's work is going to really help, because you could be able to just click on the category stop losses and then look at all the detailed explanations we have over here. But it's not done in pips, right? You're not like, oh, my stop loss is generally 50 pips away or 150 pips away. It's done completely off the technicals. So if I could pull up, that pound US dollar we were just looking at, for example, right now, if you took this trade, where's your stop loss, right? Your stop loss could clearly be the tighter stop loss right below that last swing low, right? That's a good place to put your stop loss. Or it could be the swing low before that, which is all the way down over here, right? That's pretty far away from the market. Now, if my stop loss was this far away, my position size is going to be pretty small. That really doesn't work out for me or make sense in this case. So I would not consider that in this case at all. I would be using the tighter stop loss in this case over here. So I'm not really looking I'm looking what's happening on the charts to see where I put my stop loss. Generally speaking, in this case, it's the tighter stop loss is definitely the better one, but that's not always the case. I always look to put my stop loss where I know that I'm wrong. I want to put my stop loss in an area, in a place on the chart where I know that I'm wrong. Now, if it's too far away from current price, I can't do that. I got to tighten it up. So it depends on where you're located in the world, but if you're in the US and you're looking to trade commodities and metals, you're looking for either TradeStation or Interactive Brokers. Those are probably the two best by far. So either TradeStation or Interactive Brokers. Are you back on dot Bitcoin? Yeah, that's the next resistance above it. But you're also in a bull market, by the way. So you're not targeting here. That's the next resistance above. All right, a move into that resistance. Let's take a small piece off. That's a big move, by the way. But let's take a small piece off. You're looking over here on dot Bitcoin during this bull market over here. You're looking at running to new all-time highs. Now, it's all highly speculative. That's what altcoins are. Alan has done a great job from the comments I've read in the Telegram group, explaining the benefit of DOT and what it's all about. And but you're looking to push trades. You're looking to push trades massively as alt season, I believe, is really, really getting set to take off. No. So the question is from Dylan of whether or not you keep a trade journal, recording trade thesis, result, and then plotting out performance. If so, how do you go about it? No. I've heard so many times from so many different people about the importance of keeping a trade journal. I don't think those people are profitable traders, in my own opinion. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Now, if you go back old school when I got started in trading, these things were not available that are today. I had to read a lot of magazines, right? I had to, read a lot of books. That's really the only thing that was available back then. The internet, YouTube, were not options. So a lot of people back then, before my time, didn't even have charting, and they would chart off the daily with their hand. Now, I believe back then, probably a lot of traders kept journals, right? I don't really see the advantage of keeping a journal. I think what's important is what you do. What's essential in this format over here is obviously connecting your account to MyFX Book. There you have your data, and then you want to do that trade review every week, holding yourself accountable, right? The 1, 2, or 3 trades you took, not more, maybe less. The trades you took each week, and just a line or two. That's it, nothing else more. Chainlink, Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been eating most everything. That's for sure. It's at the point in the cycle right now. We're seeing Bitcoin and Ethereum everywhere, right? Chainlink is actually way far behind other alts, but let's take a look. That's some pretty nice support area that it's in right now, don't you think? I do. That's some really nice support that it's into right now. It's way off the highs over here. It looks quite attractive to me. Will Chainlink run again, and when it will run again? I am under the belief and impression that all season is going to be epic, that it has not even started yet, and you're not seeing that speculation yet in altcoins. You're still seeing a lot of people still looking to take positions in Bitcoin and Ethereum, but those prices are starting to get higher and higher. You're looking at Bitcoin trading right now at $39,000-$40,000. A lot of people that don't own Bitcoin, they do think that's too expensive. A lot of people that don't own Bitcoin, they don't have the understanding, the awareness that you have about the market, about the cycle, what price targets that we're potentially looking at and why. And they look at Bitcoin and they're like, I should have bought it 2 years ago. Right? And I'm like, you should have bought it 2 months ago. You should have bought it 2 days ago. But they don't understand that. And as Bitcoin continues to climb up higher, and Ethereum, which is also now trading at $1,200, people are going to think that it's just too expensive. I need to go ahead and invest into a cheap altcoin because I can make more money. The same reason that instead of buying Amazon and Apple, you have people buying and gambling on penny stocks all the time, right? People, by the way, anyone's 10-year plan had been dollar cost averaging into any tech stock, you know, they would have done way better than gambling on penny stocks and then losing money. It's the same thing here, but what's going to happen is humans are humans, I believe, and as the price of Bitcoin continues to appreciate, more people are going to want to get into the space. They're going to think Bitcoin's too expensive. They're going to think Ethereum's too expensive, and they're going to be attracted to alts. This looks pretty good to me. Down over into that area of support. It's down off way high too, right? That's probably like a 60-70% retracement. Would you convert DOT to Bitcoin at this point? So, I mean, rule number one, I'm never going to tell you what to do and when to invest. You should not, in my opinion, you should not get yourself into a trade if you don't know why you're in it and what you're in it. I personally, this looks super healthy to me. I love this chart over here. I think it's just getting started, right? Now, again, I said that we could possibly, as you saw what happened on Ethereum, Bitcoin, the bounce between these two levels over here. It's the same thing happening. Look, Ethereum, Bitcoin, here's that trend line break. Here's that trend line break from the all-time high, all-time high, coming back into here. That bounced, up, bounced down, up. It bounced down again. Dot is 1 degree below that. Dot has broken out, come in, and is up. It has not bounced back again. It could. That would be healthy. That happens often on these trend line breaks, or it could break out above here and keep going. But this over here, this is a beautiful trend line break from the all-time high. As you're seeing on Ethereum, Bitcoin, I think both are going to outperform Bitcoin at this stage in the game. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Was there an entry on New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc? Let's take a look at it. So I don't, hold on one second, press auto over here. So I don't see an entry for myself at this point. Off of the bottom of the support of this bull flag over here, you could have made a case for an entry. You all know that I like those entries. I take those entries. And you could also see that if I had the support up here, if I were to say also there's support down in that area as well, for sure I could have made the case for that, right? Easily. That's not stretching whatsoever. But that would have been the entry, right? And always, just remember, as we spoke about earlier, always pull up the true trend. If you're unsure, make sure that you're buying something in an uptrend when the entry CCI is pulled away from it. You can see here as price comes down, right? I'm looking for that resumption up. Now, would I take this entry right here into that resistance? No, I would not. I would not have taken that ever, right? But now that price is broken out of this bull flag over here, I could see that the entry CCI is moving in the direction of the trend. I don't want to buy that. But now that we've broken out of that bull flag, if we come in and retest it, either the resistance turns support of that trend line or into this area of support over here, that's something I'm interested in taking. This is a bullish extension happening right now, but I don't chase after that. On Ethereum, Bitcoin, why did I not draw a downward trend line? Let's take a look at it. Ethereum, Bitcoin. Oh, why didn't I draw a trend line down over here? So the big trend line, obviously, just so everyone's on the same page, is this big, massive trend line break going back to the all-time high. That looks like this, right? That's the big trend line that I'm focused in on. So first of all, I'm focused in on this pattern. Now, if you're remembering what happened just yesterday on Bitcoin and Ethereum, where I was focused on this trend line break, notice that this is started on January the 8th and is about a week long, or 5 days long, I guess you could say, over here, okay? Notice this is not just 1 or 2 hours, okay? That also was happening on Ethereum yesterday. I didn't notice it until afterwards. I didn't notice it at the time. I should have been more aware, but I wasn't looking for a trade, obviously. I still should have been more aware. So on Ethereum, Bitcoin, why didn't I draw this trend line right over here right now? Well, that's a few days. That's not bad. Let me come back to the 8 hour. Oh, that's on the 2 hour. That's why. So it is taking off. Here comes that rocket, getting ready to rocket. This morning, I did this to see, should I be doing this? Right there it is right now. Right? Should I have a trend line into there? And then I said to myself, you know what? It's just not worth it, right? Because it's not very clear, first of all. And more importantly, this is what's important to me, is focusing on that move back into that support and the resumption off that support. That's what, and we were looking at that right there as we were just coming off of there this morning. That's the entry that's important to me. And horizontal, it seems like right now there's a lot of trend line breaks happening, so we're kind of zeroing in on that. But definitely the trade to watch out for. Greg just got one on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen as an example. But the trade that you want to focus in on is definitely off of the breakout or retest into horizontal support or resistance. But that's fine, Ryan. If you did that, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, that's the thing, Jeffrey. You just don't know. You could see where I made the mistake on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, right? When we just looked at over here, right? You could see that doing it off the top of the wicks was where to go. When I started doing it, if I come down, I guess I got to go to the 3-day. When I started doing that over here, you could see that I was using the body. You see I used the body over here and then the body over here. That was proven to be wrong. So if you're unsure, how about this, Jeffrey? If you're unsure, sketch off them both and watch what the market's paying attention to. I made a mistake here, for sure. I made a mistake. I generally use the wicks, right? And then I focus down to the body. Look over here, you can see I'm using the wicks. So no hard and fast rule though, Jeffrey. That comes from just time and practice. CCI is an excellent tool. I probably should show it more. It's just ingrained into my mind complete for I guess since 2006 I was using the true trend. So, for a long time I have it ingrained into my psyche. That's why I just don't put it on the chart anymore. So question from Tom on Bitcoin. Let me pull up the chart as I take a look at it. But before I do that, and as I do that, we might see now a $40,000 print on Bitcoin. Pretty cool. Let me take a sip of coffee and then go into Tom's question. All right. Tom is asking on strategy number 2, which is buying off the 30% drawdowns. Have you changed your entry for adding Bitcoin? Is it a 30% drawdown and trendline supports? And how is your accumulation plan changed, or has it? My plan changed. Yes, it has. couple of thoughts over here. All right, and we're just gonna have to take it as they come. The first thought is right now, just be aware, and there's nothing wrong with it, but be aware right now, any new trades that you're taking, right, you're not going to be paying long-term capital gains on, right? You're going to be paying short-term normal tax bracket gains on. So that's something to consider right now. Now, if you have the opportunity to make X amount of dollars, does it matter, what tax rate you're paying on it? At the end of the day, no, right? So that's something you want to consider. My whole plan changed over here. Right over here, as we came into that 19,000 area, right? I took profit at, I think it was 18,932, right? That's where I took profit over here. And then we pulled back. I was looking for a drawdown, but that drawdown was half or a little bit less than half of what I expected. A little bit more than half. Anyway, it was less than I expected. And once price came back up here, I said, all right, I am back fully invested and more. And I'm going to stay fully invested. So my whole strategy changed at this point, and I decided that no matter what, I was going to be fully invested over here. Now, as we continue right now from where we are in this pullback, I'm not looking to add any more. If we continue to go up and if a pullback is way higher than over here, would I be adding to that pullback? Personally, yes. But right now, I am really fully invested in more. I cannot even add to the pullback. I don't need to. Anyone that is picking up on 30% pullbacks, I think at this point in the game, it makes sense on a 15% pullback to look to add. I think on a 20% pullback, it makes sense to add, and 25% pullback, because we've seen that pullbacks have been less than we expected and are lasting quicker. If we go straight up at some point, we're not going straight up, but if we come up into here pretty hard and quick, at that point, I'm going to say, all right, do not, no matter what, look to buy during those pullbacks, because I believe the pullbacks now could be bigger than 30%, and you don't want to get caught off on the wrong side. You want to wait. And at the same time over here, I remember right over here, this first week of January, do you remember when I called out in the CTM CTM chat group, and I was like, a 7% pullback is X amount of price, right? Because pullbacks, a 7% pullback is something that you might want to look at. So anyway, Tom, I could see myself fading all over the place. I personally am making sure that I am fully invested and will stay fully invested. I am backing off strategy number 3 unless we kind of went vertical. And then at that point, maybe I would take some off the table. I'll let you know if I'm doing it. I have to see what the market's doing and I have to adapt. The only thing I could say that I know that I'm doing for sure is making sure that I stay fully invested. I believe the risk remains to the upside. If you're looking to add to your positions, start adding and scaling in, not at 30%. I would be starting with the smallest amount at 15% and then continually scaling in. If you have a 2x leverage position on Bitcoin and leverage ratio does go up as Bitcoin goes up, should I rebalance the position to main 2x ratio? Yeah. So listen, if you're trading with leverage, you have to really understand what you're doing. Otherwise, you could wind up getting yourself liquidated. The most important piece of this bull market portion of the cycle we're in right now is to make sure that you walk away a winner. That is the most important. That's why that was strategy number 1. The best situation for most people is just going to be staying invested and riding out that bull cycle. Now, you saw what happened at 19,000 when I went and said, all right, well, that's the best strategy for myself. So some people paid attention and they're like, well, listen, if Jordan's like, he's not going to try to trade it, then maybe I shouldn't. However, right, Igor, if you have a 2x position and you see, as price continue to rise, that margin ratio goes way down, right? If you wait for a decent pullback like we just saw, and we're going to see again, pullbacks, when we have a pullback, right, at that point, if you see that your margin ratio is still way low, then you could start raising that up towards that 2% again. And I think that's pretty safe. The one caveat and thing to watch out for is if we start going vertical straight up, more like this instead of this. And right now we're in between the two, which I showed you over here. Right now we're between the two. If we start going vertical at that point on that drawdown, careful about getting in there because we could go down way further. All right. And sometimes during these bull markets, by the way, not playing the pullback, but playing the resumption out of it, right, is the safer entry on Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. So this is a pretty hard and fast rule over here on Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Let's take a look at where the next resistance is. If you took this entry right over here, right now, as Greg took the correct entry, where's the next bit of resistance? You're looking above us. I have it all the way up here. Just let me check. Do you see over here that line? Is there a light line in there? Right? You could see into this area over there of 83.67. That's the next area of resistance. Is there one over here that maybe you should move the trade? Hold on one second. Just bear with me because have not been focused in on over here. Is there resistance right over here? 83.12. Yeah. Which one's the stronger one? The 83.67 or the 83.12? Right? How far away is that from entry right now? That would be about the 83.12, the lower one, is about 100 pips up past here. Depending on where your stop loss is right now, right? Let's say, for example, your stop loss was at 81. Let's say it was, 80 pips away. I have no idea where your stop loss is. As we moved up about a 1-to-1 ratio into that 83.12 resistance, that would be the place I would then move my stop loss to break even. It's the closest support or resistance level that you want to move your stop loss in to break even. And it should be at least a 1-to-1 ratio from where your stop loss is. Pound US dollar, let's pull it up over here. So on the pound US dollar, I took an entry off the support at 138.58 with the stop loss at 135.16. Price broke down, hit my stop loss, found support, price moved higher. Was that preventable? 135. 135. All right, so hold on, let me come down to the 8-hour. $138. 138. I don't see where 138 is, Danny. 138 is all the way up here. So let me just go back into real time to see if you have a different stop loss there. Oh, Danny, I hope you're still with me. So, they're trying to get where your entry was. I think this looks like a typo, Danny. We have 138 over there. Wait, Greg, didn't you just take the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen off the trend line? Danny, I want to focus in on over here. Brad, what's going on? Wow, you guys have a million other questions below me. Pound US dollar. I'm trying to see where the entry was over here when you took it, Danny. I need to know and where your stop loss was at 135, 16. So, by the way, I have support down over here, kind of where you had your stop loss. My support's a little lower, right? 135. But if you use my support, we traded below that. You would have been stopped out either way. So I'm guessing your entry, you said last week. So maybe it was over here somewhere at 136. I think your entry must have been somewhere right around or over here. So if you had your stop loss, which is pretty tight stop loss, but a good one, I don't think you did anything wrong. I don't think you should have changed anything at all. That's fine. I wouldn't have you change anything like that. Now, if this is the entry you're taking though, right? You have two choices. You have the tight stop loss after that last swing low, or the one before it. The one before it in this case obviously is a lot lower. It's below that trend line over there. Now, you would have to come into that it's into that first resistance over here. That's about a 1-to-1. That's something else to consider. if you see what I'm talking about and what I did, I'll show you again really quick. But I wouldn't say you did anything wrong. If you took the entry over here, I'm gonna instead of 138 at 136, and you had your stop loss below here at 135.12. It's a tight stop loss. It's an option you can do. In that case, there's nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't say you did anything wrong. The other option you have is going to the previous swing low down over here below this trend line. That, by the way, you're still looking at a 1-to-1 almost ratio coming into that resistance. So that's also something to consider, but I wouldn't say you did anything wrong. You had a TP that was not reached by a couple of pips, close to 29 on silver, and then broke down. You left that. I haven't. Vassal. I don't remember. I have no idea. Once I exited a trade, I don't get caught up on it. I remember what you're talking about. Let me just go over to silver really quick. Right? This is over here when I was targeting 129, right? I don't remember where the entry was off of. The entry was off the 26 support, and I was targeting 29. I would have let that come back to break even, and I would not have. Even if I was taking profit into 29, it would have only been a small amount of profit. I would have been looking for that to break the 2020 high and looking to push that trade. So for sure, I remember when I missed that over here, break even 100%. There's no way I would have took profit. No way. You made the money. You know, people say it all the time. Oh, you made the money. But listen, I'm just pointing out what I see. You're the one that gets all the credit, 100%. So this is a question that we've never seen before. Where can I find information to stay informed about the larger market? Right. So the only thing that I generally focus in on is everything on our channel, the comments in our channel. The other thing that I read Zero Hedge less and less though lately, less and less lately. But Zero Hedge, you have to be able to just distinguish what information to take and what not to. But there's lots of good information there. And then I also read Twitter, and YouTube. So that's it. It's YouTube, Twitter, and Zero Hedge. That's the only places that I look for information. The Bloomberg charts are on Zero Hedge. Those are the Bloomberg charts that I used to share with you all in some of the afternoon videos. Those are coming from Zero Hedge articles. When in a small book flag, do we utilize the breakout retest resumption? Yes, unless you're in crypto. Bay, you're looking. I don't trade the breakout. If it's a bull flag, by the way, and I could say a small bull flag, right on the S&P 500 over here, right? So I don't take the breakout over here ever, ever, ever. Crypto, yes. Over here, no. I don't take that breakout. I wait for a retest and a resumption off. If we don't get a retest down into here and a resumption off, and we take out this last bit of local resistance, I could then look for that to be flipped into support and take it out. Jordan, I got a trade management question. I went short on the Euro New Zealand dollar. Hold on one second, please. Sorry about that. The natives were a little bit restless. Jordan, I got a trade manager question on the Euro New Zealand dollar. Let's pull up the Euro New Zealand dollar so I could be on the same page as you. Tom, we're all over the place. I think you got massive amount of clips in this one. Euro New Zealand dollar. All right. 69.33. Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful entry. So I'm just keeping my mouse there where he went short over here. I see it was the retest into the resistance, strong downtrend, resumption off. This is classic CTM, right? January 12th. When change my stop loss right now. Right now, as you came in and you're tagging this last bit of this last swing low over here, as you come into that resistance, now you move your stop loss to break even right now, right over here. As soon as you came down into that last swing low, you're moving your stop loss to break even for sure. Yeah, of course, there's a possibility that Bitcoin might not have an 80% drawdown. Of course. Now, I don't know if it will or will not, but what I do know is this, and this is as clear as it gets to me. This is just something I'll show with you and share with you. We don't have the color coded how many more months to the halving, but this dark green dot over here, that's exactly 15 months to the next halving. That dark green dot over there, that's exactly 15 months to that adding. So as you get into that zone, whether or not you could just keep things simple, and I tend to keep things simple, right? For me, like, could you start accumulating over here as you're 20 months, 20 months into the next halving, 20 months into the next halving? Yeah, if you want to start dollar cost averaging at that point, that's a beautiful time to do it, right? For me, it'll probably just be 15 months in, or always consult what's going on technically on the charts. But whether or not that's an 80% drop or not, or if it's a 60% drop or a 70% drop, it doesn't matter. For me, what matters is 15 months to the next halving. That for me is going to be the bear market low or close to it, and where I want to go ahead and reestablish a position. So I just keep things simple. Could you explain why people trade Bitcoin pairs to accumulate Bitcoin and not versus US dollar? Sell and use funds to buy Bitcoin. I don't understand. You could do either one, right? But that's a question for Brandon. That's something that Brandon, I would say, has explained well. And I'll just leave that to him. We could take that up in the Conquering the Markets channel if he wants, or that even if he's interested, seems like a really good video to put out there for people. George. I saw that quote today. You learn more from failures than success. That's extremely, extremely true. I'm far behind you guys, but that's where we are. Yes, of course. Vasil, again, this is again listen, I really believe, which is why every time I put in an announcement about a training session come up, I include the Conquering the Markets recommended playlist. There's no question about it. If I were you, I would be going through every training session that you have access to it. I would probably make sure that I did 2 or 3 a week. I would make sure that I did that. I don't know if you're anything like myself. I remember when I first got into trading, I had my own lease financing business, and I would spend as much time or more a week also just studying the markets. But yeah, of course, as the trade progresses, you want to continue staircasing, layering up your stop loss. You don't keep it at break even the whole way, for sure, Basil. Pound Japanese yen. I remember looking at it this morning. It's green flag. Let's take a look at it. Is that a good entry? So, I mean, here's the thing. Let's take a look at this. This is kind of important. Let me go like this. Right? This is what I want to focus in on over here. I have this line of resistance right over there. It's a good one. You can see it connecting all those peaks over here. I'm not going to go back on the left over here. I have a little bit of fatigue setting in. As price broke above it, what are you looking? You're looking for a retest and then a resumption. Jordan, this retest did not come all the way down and touch that line. Bullish, right? But that's a retest. I'm looking for price after breaking the resistance to go ahead. I look for, not always, if it's a very bullish market, you won't even see the lower high put in. But over here I have one and then 2 lower highs put in. That right there is conquering the markets all day long. Breakout, retest, resumption. That's a good trade. I don't I have no access to trading a CFD for soybeans. I would have no idea, but I would just search soybean CFD to see if you could find one. I have no idea. I would be trading the futures if I wanted to trade soybeans. Tom is a legend. Tom is becoming a legend for sure. So the question from Kenneth is, can I link Oanda to TradingView for paper? Yes. Or just keep charts on TradingView. You could paper trade. By paper trade, I mean trade a demo account on Oanda connected to TradingView. Yep, you could do that for sure. You could also connect that to MyFX Book. No, I think alt season's beginning now. For example, right on Ethereum, Bitcoin, right? Is Ethereum an altcoin? Yeah, but on this trend line break here from that all-time high, that was Ethereum breaking out versus Bitcoin. You see it happening right here on Dot also. That's Dot breaking out versus Bitcoin. So I think all altcoins beginning over here for sure. We mentioned or we looked at that trade. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with trading altcoins versus the first dollar, versus the US dollar at all, right? Because you're just looking at making gains anyway, there's nothing wrong with that. I see myself fading over here. How long have we been on? Only a little more than an hour. All right. What else we got? A lot of people watch Theta. I've never even looked at a chart of it. Let's take a look over here. On Huobi Exchange. All right, let me go ahead and see what's going on over here. First, let me start on the 3-day. Let me get that bigger perspective view over here. So, where's your trend line? January 8th. I mean, this is something that's definitely appreciating strongly versus Bitcoin, clear as day, right? So I guess it's just a question of the right alts. Could you put it from January 8th? It should be over here, right? Where you're looking at? Let's just do this. Let me, instead of looking at what you're looking for, what I would look for, if I wanted to put a trend line over here, right? There you go. But that's, I mean, this is already in an uptrend, in a bull trend, in a bull market over here. But that's a good place. That right now is a good place to lean into and wait for that break. Here's where a lot of people go long. You also have over here Greg's horizontal support over there. You can see where I'm at over here and over here. And a move into that is also a good place to take longs off of their resumption. But a lot of traders go long if they're expecting price is going to continue to go up here. That instead of waiting for the break of this trend line here to get involved or move into support, they'll just take the trade here, like assuming that it's going to break here, but you don't know it's going to break until it breaks. It's resistance until it's broken. Wow. Wow, I can't wait for what a beautiful moment. I share in your joy on that for sure. So, J20 trading, if you owned zero point 0.4 Bitcoin and you got a medical emergency that cost 2.5% Bitcoin, would you withdraw the Bitcoin or take out a loan speculating Bitcoin will keep growing? Well, I mean, man, taking out a loan versus Bitcoin is highly risky and speculative for sure. I mean, the max you could take out anyway is 50%. So you wouldn't be able to cover the cost of that emergency. But yeah, I mean, listen, that's uh, that's definitely not for me to speculate on what I would do in that situation. That's a good thought experiment to really think through yourself and what you would do. But taking out a loan on against your Bitcoin, you could lose all your Bitcoin if you can't pay back that loan. So I would definitely be ultra cautious about doing that. Bitcoin is looking unstoppable. We like that. Okay, could we talk about the effects of civil unrest in the markets around the inauguration? I don't know that there's going to be any civil unrest around the markets. From what I understand, that the National Guard is you're already making sure that they are present. I saw, you know, President Trump has asked everyone specifically and very clearly not there cannot be any violence. He made it clear that that's not how Americans do it, and anyone doing that, they are not fighting on the right side. I can't imagine there would be any violence or civil unrest around the inauguration. So, uh, and I don't think could. Do you believe that the markets could sell off based on Trump passing the debt to Biden? Well, the debt was passed from Obama to Trump, and the markets didn't sell off on that. So no, I don't think so. And the debt, started under Bush and was passed on to Obama. I remember right before taking office that Bush had done the first half of the bankers bailout, $350 billion. Now that may not sound like a long time, a lot of money to you, as we're talking now about $2 trillion on our next stimulus, or just passing 900 billion. But back then, that was a lot of money. And then right before Obama took office, he said, you know what? I spoke with President Bush, and we feel it's the right thing to do for the American people to pass the next half of the bankers bailout. That was the right thing to do for the people. Anyway, that's not a political issue. That's gone from Bush, Republican, to Democrat, Obama, and then from Obama, it's been passed on to Trump. So that, the debt just keeps growing. You know, that's that's the way I see that, Lawrence. I don't see that as anything new under the sun whatsoever. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. Let's take a look at it. I think I was watching that this morning myself. Let's take a look at it. So I'm watching this over here. You're on the 3 day, but I only stay on the 8 hour on currencies, right? If I go to the 3 day, it's just to get a perspective. Are we in an uptrend or a downtrend, right? If I'm a long term trader, this is in a downtrend for sure. But the world changed over here when the Fed and the central bank started their massive devaluation of all fiat currencies. The world has definitely changed. This is a trend that looks like it's going to continue. On the 8 hour over here, it's a clear bull flag, right? Breaking out right now. Now you set up the trade. You don't chase after that. You wait for a pullback and a retest. That might not come tomorrow. That might not come until later or even next week. But you just see that you would like to enter here if you get a retest and a resumption. Some Greg sees me falling off. Great. There's like 25 more questions from here. That's all good. I'm happy to be here spending this time with you all. Beautiful, Michelle. Thanks for being here. Is trading CFDs the same as Forex? Well, so let me answer this question by saying trading anything in any market for us is absolutely the same. You could show me a chart of anything and not even tell me the name of what it is, right? And I could absolutely see the market structure and be able to trade off of it using the strategy that we all trade here together. Okay? So nothing whatsoever. Yeah, you could, it's all the same thing, right? Even if you trade stocks, individual stocks, the best way to trade them is exactly what we do here. Danny, we got it. Right? We got that. Yeah, Danny, the stop, there's nothing wrong with what you did. There's nothing wrong with what you did. Dylan, so it looked like a nice entry this morning, which is why I pointed it out, which is why I put it red over here. It looked like a good entry. Strong support over here. Pull back into it. Red hot, I like it. Is above over here a better entry? Maybe. But if you're apprehensive about something, then you should definitely not do it. You all know that as I'm doing my analysis, if I ever see the cadence of my voice drop and I know that I'm unsure, there's no way I'll ever trade it. And if you're unsure about whether or not you want to place a trade on Ethereum, Bitcoin, you should not do that. Just hold your Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is, for me, the only trade. It's the trade that matters, right? You don't need to trade Ethereum, Bitcoin. If you see the setup and you have the confidence to take it, do it. Ryan, I think we've been pretty consistent that the market has been showing us less than this was our first 30% pullback, 28%, right? Since the halving, going into the halving, we had a 20% drawdown, followed by another 20% drawdown, followed by a 16.5% drawdown. The market is showing us that pullbacks have been more shallow. I don't think that. I think that what you do is you scale in and just make it easier on yourself, right? Maybe if the market pulls back 15%, you take a small nibble. If it pulls back maybe 20%, a bigger nibble. And if it pulls back 25%, the rest of your position. I think that's probably the best way to do it, in my opinion. Right. Danny, you picked up on the important piece. In that case, it worked. Sometimes if it's too far, Danny, if it's too far away, though, you can't do that. But anyway, let me leave it at that. How do you know if you learn from mistakes, you don't repeat them? Boom. Words of wisdom. Tom, how do you know if you learn from your mistakes, you don't repeat them, and you catch your mistakes quicker than before? Being human is humbling. Igor, let me come over here to real time and see what you're looking at on the pound Japanese yen. I want to see where your entry was at 140.40. 140.40. So I'm trying to see exactly where that entry was. I see, again, I'm using a different probably charting platform, data feed than you are. So over here, I could add an entry over here at 140.70. Yours looked like it was over here at 140.40. I'm trying to see exactly where that came off of. Because I'm using a different data feed, I don't see it exactly. Nevertheless, the question is, where should your stop loss be at break even? As you came into this resistance right over here, I would have moved my stop loss to break even, right? That's when you went 140. It's about 80 pips. That's where I would have moved my stop loss to break even, right? And if I got stopped out at break even right over here, by the way, if I took this entry, just say as you did at 1440, I move my stop loss to break even as I come into that resistance. If you get stopped out at break even and then look at that move right into that little bit of local support and resume off of it, that's just a re-entry. Take the trade again. It's a new trade. You should move your stop loss to break even now, though. Giles, thank you, brother. All right, I caught up on all the questions. I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of coffee and hit some music, and we're going to go out like that. I'm glad I got through all the questions. I thought we had like 20 more. That was not easy. And I was mentally prepared that we had 20 more from wherever I was just now, and I would have done it all for sure, out of great love. Oh, Queen's Gambit. I loved it. Thanks everyone though for bearing with me. Thanks everyone for spending this time together. I hope it was fruitful. right, CTM. I'll talk to you all soon. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in a little bit.